Okay, let's get into our next story for today. This next story is really, really interesting. Amazon, Google, and Salesforce are investing in a $28 billion company. And that $28 billion company is called Databricks. So, Databricks is really important to understand. The reason I wanted to cover this story, even though like it's a boring story outside of the headline, it's like, oh my God, they're investing in a $28 billion company. This is not a company that's like going to be the next Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. It's not like a social media giant, but it is a company that is highlighting, I think, something that's very important to understand in today's day and age, which is that if you control the data or help companies control the data, there is just a ridiculous amount of money to be made in that space. Databricks software basically helps companies prepare data for analysis and artificial intelligence models. So they're really big on this AI stuff, and they're really big into crunching data. So companies like Facebook, like Amazon, like Microsoft, like Google, right? These are companies that not only take in enormous amounts of data, they have to store that data somewhere. Because Facebook, their entire business model is like, what do you like? And what advertisement can we show to you that is most targeted, so you get to click on that ad, so that the advertiser gets an ROI from that advertisement, so that they spend more money on Facebook trying to advertise to you. This is why Facebook is in such a big sort of like boxing match with Apple based upon the privacy stuff, and I'm going to talk about that in another story coming up on the show. But Facebook's business model, Google's business model, which is all advertising, Amazon business model, which is giving you the right shit for you to buy off their store based upon data, is all contingent upon if they have the most relevant and accurate data that they can put in front of your face, or that they can use to put something in front of your face for you to make an action on. Databricks is a company that is condensing that data to create as many new and more beneficial artificial intelligence models, so that when they consume millions and millions of components of data or hours of data or whatever other metric of data that they get, they can break that down and produce accurate results. It's very similar to a company called Snowflake that went public back in the summer of 2020. That is able to really help a lot of these big companies. So Databricks, really, really important company. This article here says the transaction, which values Databricks at $28 billion, shows the top 3 U.S. cloud providers recognize that the company represents an opportunity similar to Snowflake, which is another firm with cloud software that helps companies manage data. It's really important, I think, here to recognize that. So Databricks has had $425 million of revenue year over year. They were valued at $6 billion, I think, a couple months ago, and now they're already valued at $28 billion. And Amazon, Google and Salesforce, they're coming in at their Series G round. So we went through A, B, C, D, F, so we're already at Series G. So this is before the company has gone public. These big, mega corporations are putting another $1 billion into this company simply because they think that this company is going to be one of those companies that controls the world's data. And I think that's just really important to understand that, like, Amazon doesn't really control your data. They have other companies they work with that also condense and allow Amazon to control your data. Like if Databricks, Salesforce, Snowflake, if these companies didn't exist, it would be incredibly complicated and a little bit more difficult for some of the bigger companies that we have in the world right now to accurately model and understand how data is being used in a way to accurately sell or advertise or do whatever they need to do. So while Amazon and Google and all this, they have all this data, they're really giving a lot of leeway to companies that help them manage this data. And to me, I thought this story was just super important, especially because the CEO, Ali Goetze, said that we're 100% cloud native. That means they're operating purely in the cloud, right? So you're transitioning the entire economy from a service-based center where you have hundreds and hundreds of servers to a cloud-based center where more and more companies are recognizing that if their data can be stored through a cloud computing infrastructure, the startup cost for them to actually get their business onto the runway just becomes fundamentally lower. And the reason why it's also really important to me is because that's what we're doing at my startup, right? I'm not going to talk about my startup, don't worry. But the point is, when we initially had to start getting things rolling on my startup, I talked with my co-founder, and I don't know that much about the technology stuff. I'm learning a lot more about the technology stuff. I'm more about the business, marketing, communication, mission, vision, all that fun stuff. And I don't know that much about the technology stuff, but he told me a lot about AWS. And basically, AWS is really what makes the money for Amazon. Like Amazon makes money off selling shit, but they make way more money off companies giving them money so that companies can host their data on Amazon's web services cloud computing software. Basically, AWS is this product that if you need to store massive amounts of data in, which every company needs to do, especially software companies, which is the company that we're building, then that means how do you condense that data? 10, 15 years ago, you have to have massive like buildings that have all this storage center and have all these servers that get overheated and all this stuff. And that would be really expensive. And now with AWS, I mean, you could have theoretically 5,000-6,000 users on a product and be paying a couple $100 a month while those users are posting content on the platform or using the platform in some way in which a lot of content or data is being collected. So it's really amazing that the price to run a startup has significantly decreased simply because of these cloud computing softwares. And then even bigger companies are now helping Amazon with AWS and Salesforce understand the data and crunch that data into an even stronger, more efficient mechanism to get that data to, the people that need to use the data effectively. I've been saying data a lot. But yeah, I just wanted to cover that story because I think that's pretty amazing. AWS has really helped our startups start, and it's been like really a blessing because 10 years ago, we would not have been able to do what we're doing right now based upon what we're doing with AWS. So the money is not only in the content, the money is in the data and the infrastructure that actually collects all the content.